Congo was colonized by Belgium, and in 1955, a Belgian professor proposed a 30-year handover plan which for many Congolese compelled them to step up. They said, no, who the hell is this brother? He has no clue how well we've held it together. Our whole relationship with Belgium is messed up. Now 10 years plus after World War II, you think we're still sacrificing ourselves for you? This was at a time when the so-called Cold War was ever present in the media. It was the same year as the Bandung Conference, where leaders of the Third World met in Indonesia. The next year, a young man arrived in the capital, a city called Leopoldville at the time. Like every colonized child, this kid grew up with white supremacy instilled in his mind. He got a job at the post office, but because he was black, he was earning less than his colleagues. Then he got caught taking loans from the register, and the post office weren't accepting a sorry. He did time in prison. And that's when the young man realigned his vision and realized his mission. You see, the young man had always read a lot, but the chance to go to university was something he never got. Now, self-taught in a prison cell, he confronted the fact that being black was a living hell. And he knew within himself the thought of waiting around for independence wasn't sitting well. The young man came home and found work. It sent him across the country, laying the groundwork. Officially, he was promoting beer, but he was really promoting his own ideas to a lot of open ears. After a while, he attracted larger crowds, and whenever he spoke, they cheered. In 2 short years, this guy was practically the face of the independent movement, struggling full-time. He resisted. They threw him back in jail and charged him with a riot, the full 9. But he was undeterred by the colonizers' violence and the pessimism of small minds. He and his peers eventually made a breakthrough. Back in 1960, 30th of June, Congo was overjoyed. See, they'd finally broken free from Belgian rule, and a lot of it was down to the golden boy. Patrice Lumumba was 35, but across the country, he was certified. He pressed the colonizers, made them realize it was either independence or an economic crisis. But I ain't trying to suggest the independence movement was down to Lumumba and a couple of his peers, nah. The independence struggle had been bubbling for years. Africans were pushing for involvement in government affairs. Before Patrice, the older generation led the way to overthrowing segregation. They organized African voter registration to get into government and control the legislation. But the thing about those elders, their freedom struggle was heavily Congo-focused. Yeah, they were known for radicalism, but what they were missing was Pan-Africanism. And this is where Lumumba's angle was different. By 1958, a lot of anger had risen. Ghana had won its independence the previous year, which is a status its leader was eager to share with all the colonies. That's why they offered support to former colonies. Now, Patrice Lumumba saw the common themes. He saw that the struggle was more than Congolese. So he spent 1959 up and down the country, winning hearts and minds. Charisma like his was hard to find. He made people feel like maybe the stars aligned. Maybe this was Africa's chance to shine and finally put the colonial past behind. See, 1960 was called the Year of Africa. Congo was one of a few African nations that won independence. And now they had to find a way forward out of that mad situation.
The Belgians know that independence must come. The burning question is when.
We must have independence for our whole country.
In how many years do you expect to have independence?
If possible, on the end of the next year.
End of 1960?
Yes.
But this day represented a bigger threat. Behind Congo, picture Belgium's silhouette. At the ceremony, the Belgian king gave a speech, and the Congolese took it as disrespect. The king didn't recognize the freedom struggle. Instead, he gave the credit to Belgium for guiding the Congolese like they were children, civilizing them, and making efforts to help them.
The independence of the Congo is formed by the outcome of the work conceived by King Leopold II's genius, undertaken by him with tenacious and continuous courage, with Belgium's perseverance.
It was like he wanted to draw out the Africans, like he was daring them to call out his arrogance. Even the international community was stunned. Lumumba wrote a reply as soon as he was done. When he stepped up to the mic unannounced, someone should have told the king, "You might want to bounce." But obviously, no one told him that. And Patrice Lumumba wasn't holding back.
Car cette indépendance du Congo, si elle est proclamée aujourd'hui.
Although this independence of the Congo is being proclaimed today by agreement with Belgium, no Congolese will ever forget that independence was won in struggle. We are deeply proud of our struggle, and our wounds are too fresh, too painful to be forgotten. What wounds is he talking about? Colonial Congo was crazy, bro. It's one of them ones that really pains my soul. In the 1880s, Belgium's King Leopold II claimed the Congo as his own possession, a chunk of Africa bigger than Western Europe. The people on the land were less important to the king than the concept he sold to his European neighbors. He said he was providing a tax-free zone for European traders and offering the Africans security from slavers. But in the back of his mind, Leopold knew this was Belgium's opportunity to grow too. See, Belgium never got slaves like Britain and France, but they would have done the same if they were given a chance. Now, they had a colonial system at last to make up for riches they'd missed in the past. Leopold wanted Congo's rubber and ivory, so he sent killers there to govern it violently. Never even visited the land himself, but he had millions of Congolese suffering silently. The killers came and locked off their lands. If the Africans didn't work enough, they chopped off their hands. Murdered children with the butts of their guns. Assaulted their mothers for fun and cut out their tongues. In the first 20 years of Belgian rule, half of Congo's population was wiped out. For what? Rubber and ivory. Material additions to the European lifestyle. Eventually, the world discovered the savagery, the brutality of the king's regime. And when it came to light how bad things had been, the Belgian government finally intervened. They ran Congo like a normal colony. Still no freedom, justice, or equality, no compensation, compunction, or repentance, just colonialism. Until independence. That's why Patrice couldn't take the king's speech. He wrote his reply on the first page within reach.
Car nous avons connu le travail harassant, exigé en échange des salaires qui ne nous permettaient ni de manger.
We have experienced forced labor in exchange for pay that did not allow us to satisfy our hunger, to clothe ourselves, to have decent lodgings or bring up our children as dearly loved ones.
Nous avons connu les ironies, les insultes.
Morning, noon, and night we were subjected to jeers, insults, and blows because we were Negroes. We have not forgotten that the law was never the same for the white and the black, that it was lenient to the ones and cruel and inhuman to the others. Our lot was worse than death itself. Nothing Lumumba said was an exaggeration. Colonialism has never been a collaboration. But in the King of Belgium's imagination, he didn't need any Africans' validation. So their little tense back and forth was an indication, an ominous reminder. Things were changing. The Congolese were free. Their home was theirs. And it was time to take control of their own affairs. I hope you've had as much fun watching this video as I've had making this. So feel free to like and subscribe, comment your favorite bits, and sign up to the mailing list.